Discover the incredible journey. He asks for food. They laugh, unveiling the hidden piano prodigy. Elijah stood on the outskirts of the bustling community gathering, cold biting at his cheeks. Laughter echoed as families gathered, sharing stories, food, and fellowship. It was a colorful canvas of joy, yet here he felt like a dull spot, blending into the background. His stomach growled, an ever-present reminder of his reality. With a deep breath, he shuffled closer to a table overflowing with pies, sandwiches, and treats. "Excuse me," he mustered, his voice shaky. "Could I get something to eat?" The words trembled on the edge of his lips, heavy with the weight of his hope. The group erupted into laughter, dismissing him as if he were a punchline. They didn't see his empty stomach or the hard lines carved by life on his mother's tired face. Instead, he was just a kid trying to snag a free bite, a joke at their expense that Elijah's heart sank. He turned away, eyes stinging with shame, as if he was back behind the walls of that thrift shop where he first touched the keys of an old piano. That moment had been an escape, a hidden sanctuary amid the chaos of his world. Each note he played reminded him of forgotten dreams. But in this lively gathering, those dreams felt heavier, like the weight of each laugh still echoing in his ears. Then came Mr. Johnson. The retired veteran stood apart from the crowd, thick glasses perched on his nose, eyes curious. He caught Elijah's glance and tilted his head, encouraging the boy to share his secret gift. Unsure, Elijah followed Mr. Johnson away from the laughter and noise. "Show me what you've got," the man said with warmth that cut through Elijah's trepidation. With trembling fingers, Elijah sat at a dusty piano. As the notes flowed, a soul awakening into the sound around him, Mr. Johnson closed his eyes. Music poured from Elijah like water from a spring, pure and true. "You've got something special," Mr. Johnson whispered afterward, his voice cracking. "Don't ever let them make you feel small." It was the first time Elijah felt seen, understood. He started to play at local events, his fingers gliding across the keys, revealing a hidden talent, breaking barriers made of judgment and fear. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As Elijah's music echoed through the community center, whispers spread like wildfire. Some applauded, while others scoffed. Those who had laughed now found their humor turned into awkward silence. But soon, confusion soaked into the pride they flaunted, forcing them to face their past cruelty. Meanwhile, his mother, battling illness, fought to stay strong despite her pain, torn between her son's bright dreams and the dark clutches of their struggles. The night Elijah learned his mother was sick threatened to tear it all apart. As sorrow wrapped around him, he found himself at the piano, pouring his heart into every note. This time, the melody carried the weight of his hopes, fears, and love. Would the community rise to support the boy they once scorned? As sounds surged, glimmers of hope flickered in the dimmed room, leaving Elijah poised on the edge of decision, to share his soul with those who never saw him before or retreat into darkness once again. Elijah pressed his palms against the cool piano keys, feeling the pulse of every note beneath his fingers. It was as if the instrument understood his turmoil, binding together his fear, heartbreak, and flickers of hope. The room had quieted, eyes that once dismissed him now washed with curiosity and anticipation. His heart raced, the rhythm matching the quickening pace of his breath. What if they didn't like it? What if this moment crumbled, just like his fragile confidence? He shook his head slightly, focusing on the sound that poured from the piano. The melody began soft and hesitant, echoing the vulnerability he felt inside. With each note, he remembered his mother's smile, the warmth in her voice when she encouraged his music. He defined solace in her stories of resilience through her own struggles, and now he would channel that into this very moment as the audience began to lean in. He transitioned from the softest notes to more robust ones, weaving feelings of anguish and longing into a rich tapestry of sound. A few people in the back began to nod, a subtle rhythm to his heartbeat, companion to his melody. He locked eyes with Mr. Johnson, who smiled, a gentle gleam of approval. Pushing the boy to go further, he played like he was telling a story, one that ran deep. The notes danced with his memories. They swayed with the laughter he missed from happier times and echoed the silence that lurked behind every hardship. It was a journey through his struggles and triumphs, a reflection of who he was and who he wanted to become. In the moments of crescendo, he could see parents tear up, their children standing wide-eyed with wonder. The weight that pressed on his chest began to lift. Music wasn't just his escape. It was also a bridge connecting him to others. With each note, he wove through their hearts, allowing them a glimpse of his world. Still, a part of him hesitated. Would this acceptance last? Would they rally around him? Or would the shadows of their previous laughter resurface? Just as doubt crept in, he played harder, pouring every ounce of emotion into the music. But then, the melody shifted. Out of nowhere, the door swung open, and a chill rushed into the room. A new figure entered, a woman with wild hair, her face weary yet oddly familiar. It was his mother. Elijah's hands paused mid-note. A jolt of shock coursed through him. Had she come to listen? She looked frail but resolute, her eyes scanning the crowd until they found him. Their gazes locked, and something inside him ignited. This was it. This was part of the reason he played. His breath caught. Would she hear his struggles in the notes? Could she feel the love he poured into music? As his fingers resumed their dance, he felt a surge of determination. Elijah wanted to show her that they could rise above this together. But just as hope swelled within him, it was overshadowed by a sense of urgency, uncertainty hanging thick in the air. The gathering swelled with emotion, but he knew a pivotal moment was coming. Could he muster the strength to confront not only the crowd but the looming specter of his mother's health? As the last note lingered, the community held its breath. Elijah looked at his mother, and for the first time, their hearts pulsed in unison. Would the community embrace him, or would he stand alone, as he had before? Before he could ponder it further, a baby began to cry in the back, shattering the solemn moment. Everyone's gaze shifted, leaving Elijah wondering if this was a distraction or a sign. He had a choice to make, but the question lingered in the air, opening a door to an unexpected twist. Would he continue to pursue his dreams, knowing the fragile state of his family? Elijah's heart raced as the sound of the baby's wail pierced through the tension in the room. Eyes darted away from him, and for a moment, he felt like a marionette suddenly yanked from its strings. It was disorienting. He had just poured his soul into the music, only to watch it unravel in the face of ordinary chaos. Glancing at his mother, he saw the flicker of recognition mirrored in her gaze, the same pride she used to wear before life had clouded their world. But now, with those tears still fresh in her eyes, she looked almost helpless. He wanted to reach her, to pull her into his melody, to show her that he had not just been playing for applause, but for healing. For both of them, the crying baby continued. Elijah could feel the weight of uncertainty pressing back down on him. That urge to disappear crept in, but something else stung at his heart, a fierce desire to overcome. He took a deep breath and let it sink in. This had become a moment not just about him, but about all of them. He had spent so much time worrying about how they saw him. He realized they might also need to see someone rise from their struggles. With renewed strength, he struck the keys once more, allowing a delicate melody to rise in response to the baby's cries. His fingers danced, weaving chords of empathy, hope, and love. It was an offering not just to his mother, but to everyone listening. The baby's cries softened, as if the notes hung around the little one like a warm embrace. Gradually, heads began to turn back toward Elijah. Curious gazes refocused, intrigued by the way he transformed chaos into a soothing lullaby. He could see some parents gently rocking their children, caught in the serenity of the moment. Eyes widened with wonder replaced laughter and dismissive glances. The room felt electric again, alive with the essence of what he had created. In a single fleeting glance, he connected with his mother. She smiled, her face lighting up in a way that made him forget the frailty he had seen moments before. It was the kind of smile that ignited his spirit, like a flame fueled by hope and love. Here was his chance to affirm they were not alone. They were together in this journey. Driven by a surge of energy, Elijah transitioned into a more vigorous section of the melody. echoing triumph and defiance. The music swelled, wrapping around everyone, urging them to join him in the rise from their battles. He closed his eyes and poured everything into it: the memories of laughter, the sorrow of empty rooms, the dreams that felt just out of reach. When the last note faded softly, a palpable silence enveloped the room, broken only by the gentle applause that began to ripple outwards, swelling into a wave of support. Their faces showed respect and acknowledgement. They recognized something remarkable in him, a testament to resilience. But amid the applause, Elijah's eyes found his mother again. Her expression shifted, from pride to something deeper, more profound. It was a mixture of joy and sorrow, and a realization began to dawn on him. He stepped off the stage, unsure, but fueled by the connection they had just shared. As he neared her, an urgent thought struck him. He needed to know what this meant for them. Wrapping his arms around her, he whispered, "Mom, what now?" The lingering question hung thick in the air, inviting revelation and a new direction. Would they both find the strength to chase dreams together, despite the fragility that surrounded them? Elijah felt the weight of his mother's embrace enveloping him, her familiar warmth grounding him amidst the swirling emotions of the room. 1,000 thoughts surged through him, but one stood out like a lighthouse in the tumult. What did it now mean for them? As they stepped away from the stage, the applause still ringing in his ears, he glanced back at the audience. Faces were shining. Hope lit their expressions. At that moment, he realized it wasn't just about him. It was about them, the community that had supported him without even realizing it. They were all in this together, weaving a tapestry of shared trials and triumphs. "Mom," he said, pulling back to look deep into her eyes. "What do we do next?" His mother's gaze flickered to the floor, her fingers fidgeting with the hem of her sweater. For a brief moment, Elijah feared she wouldn't have an answer, that the uncertainty would swallow them whole. But then, a flicker of resolve ignited in her eyes. "We take this chance, Elijah," she whispered, her voice steadying. "You've shown them who you are. Now, it's time to show the world." Elijah nodded slowly, trying to process her words. The world felt vast and daunting, like standing at the edge of a cliff. But the way she looked at him, with such fierce belief, sparked something deep within, a daring sense of adventure. Each step they took toward the exit felt like stepping into uncharted territory. Outside, the sun dipped low in the sky, casting long shadows. As they walked side by side, the sounds of the bustling streets wrapped around them. Elijah could still hear the lingering echoes of his music, reverberating in his mind, urging him forward. "Mom," he began hesitantly, "do you really think I can do this? Really do this?" She stopped and turned to face him, her expression fierce as if to shield him from any doubt. "I know you can, sweet boy. You have a gift. But it's more than just the music. It's how you connect with people. You can help others heal, just as you're healing yourself." The thoughts swirled in his mind, mingling with memories of long nights spent at the piano, fingers dancing across the keys like they were a part of him. Could he really make a difference? The question took root, pushing against the doubts that had long taken residence in his heart. "Then let us do it," he replied, feeling a swell of determination. "Let us find a way. Let us show them who I am." As they continued their walk, Elijah couldn't shake the feeling that something profound was changing. It was like the music had awakened the possibilities. With each footfall, he felt their dreams merging, intertwining, building a bridge between the past he sought to overcome and the future he dared to embrace. But just as excitement began to bubble within him, his mother stopped again. "Elijah, I have something to tell you, something I've kept from you." Her voice softened, and a tremor slipped through her words. The air around them crackled with a new tension, one he hadn't expected. What could it be? His heart raced with curiosity and apprehension, nerves prickling under the surface. "What is it?" he pressed, urgency grabbing hold of him. The world around them faded, and for that moment, somehow, it felt as if their new journey was balanced on the edge of a knife, waiting for the next chapter to unfold. What secrets lay between them, hidden in the shadows of their past? Elijah could see his mother's breath quicken, her fingers now trembling slightly. He felt the gravity of the moment weigh heavily in the air. The sounds of the street faded into a soft hush, and a chill ran down his spine. Whatever she was about to say would change everything. Ever since you were a little boy, there have been parts of my life I fought to keep hidden, she started, her voice wavering but steady. Things you deserve to know. You have to understand I've kept this from you to protect you, but I should have trusted you more. Elijah's pulse quickened as 1,000 questions raced through his mind. What could be so important? Did it have to do with his music, or was it connected to the struggles they had faced as a family? Mom, you're scaring me. Just tell me, he urged, his voice a mixture of dread and anticipation. She took a deep breath, as if gathering strength, and looked him squarely in the eyes. Your father, he wasn't just a regular man. He was a talented musician, like you. But he also had his demons, and that's why I left him, why I chose to raise you alone. The revelation hit Elijah like a punch to the gut. All these years, he had thought of his father as a ghost, a mere name attached to unanswered questions. But to learn that he had inherited his gift? It felt surreal. Mom, I had no idea, he whispered, grappling with the weight of this new knowledge. What kind of musician was he? Tears glistened in his mother's eyes, and the quiver in her voice returned. He was brilliant, Elijah. He could play anything. But the pressures of fame and his struggles with addiction took everything from him and from us. I wanted you to have a clean slate, free from his shadow. Elijah felt the sting of tears pricking at the corners of his eyes. It was hard to reconcile the image of a musician with dreams, a father who could have been a guiding light, with the reality of someone who failed to protect them. Yet, amidst the confusion, something else ignited inside him, an understanding. Was this why music felt like home? Does this mean I have to make a choice? He asked, uncertainty lacing his words. Be like him, or step away from that part of my life. No, his mother replied firmly, blinking away her tears. This is your journey now, Elijah. You have a chance to embrace your talent without the pain that came with his. You can create your own legacy. You can break the cycle. It was as if the ground beneath him was shifting. The world that had felt so cohesive just moments before began to fracture into something new. He thought of the songs he'd written, the emotions they stirred. This was not just about what he could accomplish. It was about healing, redemption. The streetlights flickered on, illuminating the path ahead. Elijah could feel his heart hammering with purpose. Then let us do this together. I don't want to hide anymore. Not from my music, not from the past. His mother smiled, the relief washing over her features like a gentle tide, but it was quickly overshadowed by a flash of concern. Elijah, I need you to promise me something. There are things out there, temptations like your father faced. You have to stay strong, no matter what. I promise, Mom. I'll be careful, he declared, filled with a newfound sense of determination. As they resumed their walk, the air felt electrified with possibilities. The sun dipped below the horizon, casting vibrant hues across the sky, and among them was a glimmer of hope. But just as they stepped onto a quieter block, a sudden commotion pulled Elijah's attention. A group of teens gathered around a park bench, their laughter carrying through the air. One of them looked up and pointed directly at him, a smirk creeping onto his face. Elijah, the wannabe piano star, what are you going to play for us? How to ask for food? Laughter erupted, and for a brief moment, Elijah felt the sting of their mockery. But this time, it was different. Instead of shrinking back, he felt a spark of rebellion. Just watch, he murmured, a fire igniting within him. What they didn't know was that this was just the beginning. With every ounce of confidence he could muster, Elijah stepped toward the group, ready to turn their laughter into something wonderful. How would he transform their mockery into a melody that resonated? Elijah glanced at the group, their taunts still ringing in his ears. But he couldn't let their words wound him. Not this time. This was about seizing the moment, about finding his voice, his legacy. Hey, Elijah called out, surprising even himself with the strength in his tone. You think you can just laugh? How about you give me 3 minutes to show you something real? The teens paused, confusion washing over their faces. The smirk on the boy who had mocked him faded slightly. There was a flicker of curiosity in his eyes. What do you mean? You gonna play some sad song or something? I'm going to play the truth. Elijah stepped closer, heart racing. He sensed all eyes on him, their laughter replaced by a hesitant silence. It was exhilarating and terrifying all at once. Fine. Show us what you got. One of them challenged, leaning back against the bench, arms crossed. Elijah could feel the weight of his mother's words echoing in his mind. This was his chance to break free from the past, to claim his identity. All right, just give me a minute, he said, finding a nearby stone wall to sit on. Before he could second-guess himself, he closed his eyes and let the music flow through him. The notes rose up from a place deep inside, a blend of raw emotion fueled by the revelation about his father and the spark of rebellion against the scorn. His fingers danced across an imaginary keyboard, and soon the air shimmered with a melody that transformed the silence. It wasn't just any tune. It was a fusion of everything he had ever felt: joy, pain, hope. Each note rang out like a heartbeat, pulling the gathered crowd closer. Slowly, he opened his eyes. The group of teens shifted, the initial doubt morphing into intrigue. They leaned in, captivated. Well, one of them muttered, his jaw dropping slightly. "You're actually good," the boy who had mocked him admitted, sounding half astonished, half embarrassed. The old sting of laughter was fading, replaced by something else, an acknowledgement of raw talent. Elijah didn't stop. He played harder, feeling the rhythm take over. The more he played, the more he lost himself in the music, enthralled by the moment, sharing a piece of himself that had long been hidden. A few kids began to nod in time with the beat, and before he knew it, some were clapping along. Their earlier mockery dissolved as they felt the energy of his performance swirl around them. At that moment, Elijah realized this wasn't just about proving himself. It was about connection, about reaching out and touching the hearts of those who dared to look past the surface. When he hit the final note, the sound hung in the quiet air, vibrating with promise. There was a beat of silence, and then applause erupted. The teens began cheering, some hooting as if they couldn't contain their excitement. "Dude, that was awesome," one of them shouted. Elijah's heart soared. "Thanks," he replied, a broad grin breaking across his face. The boy who had first mocked him stepped forward, extending a hand. "I'm sorry for being a jerk. Seriously, you've got talent. What is your name again?" "Elijah," he said, shaking the boy's hand, still feeling the rush of everything that had just unfolded. As the group began to talk and laugh, exchanging thoughts about music, something unfurled in Elijah. An unexpected camaraderie had formed from the ashes of mocking laughter. But amidst the new friendships forming, a familiar unease crept back into his thoughts. Could he really trust this newfound attention? What if it was fleeting? Elijah's mind drifted to his father's demons, temptations seeping into every corner of talent and fame. With this encouragement came greater responsibility. How would he navigate this path without losing himself? His newfound determination pulsed through him even stronger than before. "This is just the beginning," he whispered under his breath, catching his mother's south eye across the street. And then the sparks of a new idea lit up his brain, something bigger than himself. I should start my own music group. Could he really take that leap? Elijah's heart raced as the idea took root in his mind. Starting a music group felt like a dream that was suddenly within reach. Could he really gather a team? Could they create something together, something that would change how they saw themselves? The crowd around him buzzed with excitement, and Elijah felt a shift inside. No longer were they just faces he had seen in passing. They were his potential bandmates, his friends. "What if we formed something cool?" he blurted out, his voice carrying the weight of his newfound resolve. "Like a band?" the boy who had apologized asked, raising an eyebrow. Something about the suggestion sparked a flicker in his eyes. For a second, Elijah wasn't just a kid playing for acceptance. He could be a leader, a visionary. "Exactly. We could play different styles, mix it up," Elijah said, enthusiasm pouring from him like a lively melody. "And I know some great songs. We could write our own too." The group exchanged glances. Some nodded, intrigued. Others looked thoughtful, perhaps weighing risks and rewards. "Dude, that could be lit," another girl jumped in, her face lighting up with excitement. "I'm all about expressing what we feel. Music is where it's at." Elijah's pulse quickened. The thought of collaboration filled him with a mix of freedom and responsibility. How would they work through disagreements? What if someone wanted to take the spotlight away from others? But as he studied their eager faces, confidence began to overshadow fear. "All right," he said, rallying his nerves. "Let us meet up tomorrow after school and figure things out. We can share ideas and see where it takes us." The words flowed easily now, as if he were composing a new song. Music brings people together, right? Why not do that? The energy in the group shifted, their laughter mingled with anticipation. "I'm in," a tall kid yelled, fist punching the air. Another joined in, me too. One by one, they agreed, enthusiasm replacing doubt. But as Elijah embraced this budding connection, an unexpected pang of worry crept in. What if they didn't take him seriously? Or worse, what if they did? What if they turned on him when the pressure kicked in? He remembered the countless hurdles he had faced. His father's shadow loomed again in his thoughts, lurking like a ghost in the back of his mind. Yet, standing there surrounded by new friends, he felt a flicker of hope. Let us make this real, he thought, heart pounding with the thought of what lay ahead. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a warm glow over them, Elijah felt the light begin to shift. It was the promise of something transforming, something that could truly change his life. "See you tomorrow then," he called out, waving as the group dispersed with excitement. But questions lingered in the air like the last notes of a familiar song. Would he find the right people to share this journey with? Could he lead without losing himself in the process? And what if the music they created could, for once, replace the echoes of hurt from the past? Tomorrow felt both thrilling and daunting. How would it all unfold? Elijah couldn't sleep that night. The excitement of starting a band swirled in his mind like a vibrant melody that wouldn't fade away. He could practically hear the notes echoing in the quiet of his room. What would tomorrow bring? Who would show up? Would they all feel as passionate as he did? Morning arrived with a fresh wave of uncertainty. He dressed slowly, letting his thoughts run wild. His heart raced as he imagined the group gathered in the music room, ideas bouncing around like wild notes on a scale. But self-doubt nipped at his heels. What if they realize I'm just a kid trying to make something happen? He thought. Would they laugh at him again like they did back then? Rushing out the door, he grabbed his guitar. The weight felt comforting against him, a familiar friend for a day that promised both hope and challenge. School felt different that day. Each corridor echoed with anticipation. As he entered the music room, the air buzzed with energy. One by one, the others trickled in, their eyes bright with curiosity. "Hey, where do we start?" The girl had a playful spark in her voice, her hair swinging as she tossed her head back, laughing. Elijah took a deep breath. "I thought we could begin by sharing what we like to play." The nervousness had transformed into an electric buzz. He strummed his guitar softly, feeling the warmth of their encouragement. The tall kid, who introduced himself as Jonah, chimed in. "I play drums. I'm down to keep a beat." "Nice. I've messed around with keyboard," another boy named Max admitted shyly, glancing around for reassurance. They shared. An atmosphere of camaraderie enveloped them. They talked about bands they adored, songs that made them feel alive, and dreams they held close. Each revelation drew them together, swelling the excitement in the room. Then it happened. Jonah picked up a set of sticks and began tapping a rhythm on the desk. Soon, Max joined in, fingers dancing over an imaginary keyboard. Elijah felt the beat swell within him, a heartbeat echoing what they were building together. "Let us try jamming," he proposed. "Just go with the flow." Elijah felt a rush of adrenaline. They fell into a rhythm that felt both chaotic and beautiful. Laughter erupted as they hit wrong notes, but every mistake seemed to pull them closer rather than tear them apart. It was electric. Ideas flowed like music notes on paper. For the first time in ages, Elijah felt like he belonged somewhere, creating more than just sound, crafting a deeper connection outside the walls of his insecurities. But amidst the joy, a familiar voice called out from the back of his mind. What if they don't take this seriously? It slithered through his thoughts like a chilling breeze. Everyone looked excited now, but what if the doubts returned as they progressed? As the day rolled on, they formed a plan. They would write a song together. Elijah felt a spark of determination. This was it. They'd pour their souls into the music, a chance to express who they truly were. As school ended, the weight of possibilities hung heavy in the air. What if this journey led somewhere transformative? Could they create something that resonated not only within themselves but beyond? In their community, Elijah waved goodbye, heart full, but also pounding with uncertainty. The first step had been taken, but what lay ahead still felt unpredictable, like a song without an ending. Would they face challenges that would tear them apart, or would the music bind them together even more? And as he walked home, the question echoed in his mind. Could this truly be the start of something beautiful? Elijah woke the next day with a blend of excitement and anxiety. The sun streamed through his window, casting warm rays that felt almost like a gentle nudge, an invitation to embrace the day ahead. He dressed quickly, the thought of meeting up with the band igniting a fire in his chest. Today, they would dive deeper into their shared dream. Today, they would write a song. As he approached the school, Elijah noticed the familiar faces of his classmates, but something felt different. There was an energy in the air, a palpable buzz that made him feel like something was about to shift. Entering the music room, he was greeted by the vibrant laughter of Jonah and Max, already setting up their instruments. The girl with the playful spark was there too, her enthusiasm contagious as she spun around, happily arranging sheet music. "Ready to make some magic?" she asked, a mischievous glint in her eyes. "Absolutely," Elijah replied, determination resonating in his voice. They gathered in a circle, the instruments cradled in their arms like pieces of their very souls. Elijah took a moment to breathe in the moment. This was his chance to share something meaningful. "What do we want our song to be about?" he asked, his eyes scanning the group. "Well, what if it's about overcoming fears?" Jonah suggested, tapping his sticks against his knees. "Like making the leap into something new." Elijah liked that idea. They all had their battles, insecurities lurking just beneath the surface, waiting for a chance to creep in. "Yeah, and maybe about finding your place and feeling like you belong?" Max added, fingers skimming the notes on his imaginary keyboard. "Perfect." Elijah beamed. "Let us start with a feel-good vibe." They began to play a spectrum of sounds, intermingling, to create something beautiful yet raw. Elijah felt himself getting lost in the rhythm, his heart beating in sync with the music. Words started to flow from somewhere deep within him, scribbled on a scrap of paper. Suddenly, it happened. In the middle of their joyous chaos, a voice cut through a voice that made Elijah freeze. The music stopped abruptly, and he turned to see a face from his past. Jake, the boy from school who used to mock him. "What is this? A joke? You guys actually think you can make music?" Jake's laughter echoed like ice in the room. Heat rushed to Elijah's cheeks, desperation creeping back in. Self-doubt surged threateningly at the edges of his mind. But then he looked around. Jonah's fists were clenched, Max had a determined frown, and the girl stood tall, chin up, a quiet strength radiating from her. "Yeah, we do," she shouted back, surprising even herself. Elijah's heart surged with gratitude. In that moment, he realized he wasn't alone. They were in this together. The laughter of their insecurities would no longer hold sway over their dreams. He picked up his guitar again, strumming with newfound conviction, the notes ringing louder than the sting of Jake's words. "Let us show him what we've got," Elijah said, grinning widely. As they plunged into the chorus, something shifted. The music wrapped around them, elevating their spirits and swallowing their fears whole. With every chord, the weight of doubt began to lift, replaced by a powerful sense of belonging. After their jam session, the atmosphere was rich with anticipation. Ideas were thrown around, verses crafted as they settled onto the beat. Each lyric etched a piece of their shared experience into something tangible. As they packed up, the echoes of laughter remained in the air, blending with the energy they had created. Elijah felt a fragile, yet beautiful hope blooming. Could this group truly grow beyond just music? But his mind still flickered with uncertainty. Would they get distracted by others' opinions? Would it all come crashing down again? The song wasn't just a collection of notes. It was a pledge. What if it could shine a light on their struggles, bringing them closer together? As he stepped out of the music room, the night falling around him, Elijah knew they had started something significant. But a question lingered: could they keep their passion and camaraderie alive in the face of real challenges? And that uncertainty intertwined with hope as he glanced back at the music room, the notes of their new song still playing in his heart. What would happen when the world outside tried to drown out their sound? Elijah stood at the edge of the school parking lot, heart racing, the sun dipping low like a warm ball of fire behind the horizon. Tonight marked the day of their first performance as a band. They had spent weeks constructing their song, each word a whisper of their journey, every beat a testament to their resilience. It was a tapestry woven from shared struggles, laughter, and newfound bonds. As he walked toward the makeshift stage set up in the bustling community center, the weight of anticipation pressed down on him. He could hear the lively chatter and laughter of the crowd mixed with the aroma of popcorn and funnel cakes wafting through the air. A voice cut through his thoughts. It was Jonah, radiating enthusiasm. "You ready to blow them away?" Elijah took a deep breath, a smile spreading across his face. More than ready. In that moment, all doubts slipped away. He had come to know himself through their music, and this performance was their chance to shine together. The community space buzzed with a mix of excitement and nervous energy. Long tables lined the walls, adorned with homemade treats. Faces turned toward them as they climbed onto the platform. Friends, family, even those who once mocked him had come to watch. In that sea of familiar eyes, he found his mother seated close to the front, a radiant smile gracing her lips. With a nod from Jonah, the first chords echoed into the room, merging with the buzz of the crowd. Elijah's fingers gripped the guitar, letting the rhythm guide him into a comfort zone he had fought so hard to find. As the music swelled, he poured his soul into the melody, singing not just for acceptance, but for unity, for healing. The audience swayed, some even joined in singing. The room vibrated with energy, their collective heartbeat resonating back at him. He saw the kids who once laughed, now leaning forward, captivated by the authenticity of it all. "You're doing great, Elijah," someone shouted from the back, and it felt like a hug wrapping around him. Each note danced in the air like fireflies, illuminating the spaces between shame and acceptance. Families, friends, even those who had doubted him seemed transformed, caught up in the moment. And as the song drew to its flickering close, applause erupted, washing over him like a wave of validation. Stepping off the stage, Elijah felt lighter, buoyed by the roar of support surrounding him. His mother rushed to him, tears shimmering in her eyes. "That was beautiful. I am so proud of you." But before he could bask too long in the joy, a voice interrupted. "Hey, Elijah, that was pretty cool," Jake said, a hesitant sincerity in his tone. Elijah met his gaze, both surprised and cautious. "Thanks," he replied, the moment hanging heavy with unspoken truths. "We've all got our battles. I guess I didn't realize yours." Something shifted. Apologies hung in the air, unframed by laughter. Elijah felt the warmth of forgiveness, a tapestry of understanding woven right alongside the music. Elijah glanced back at Jonah, Max, and the girl who had stood by his side through it all, their faces reflecting the joy of triumph. "We did this together," he whispered, feeling the thread of camaraderie strong between them. It was a realization that his journey had always been about more than just music. Later that night, as the crowd dispersed and laughter faded into the evening air, Elijah found himself in the quiet solitude of the community center patio, his mother beside him. "I think this is just the beginning, Elijah," she said softly. "You've opened a door. You can help so many others heal now." With a weightless heart, he looked out into the night sky, stars shimmering like the notes of his music. "I think we will," he replied, eyes bright with infinite possibilities. Their eyes met, and in that moment, Elijah knew they were no longer bound by the past. They were stepping into a future painted by hope and dreams, a harmony resounding louder because they chose to embrace their truth. Taking her hand, together they walked back towards the laughter and warmth of community, filling the space with new chords of connection, like a song finally finding its voice. And just like that, Elijah felt the magic of his journey weave deeper into the fabric of life. One note, one life transformed at a time. Now, if you felt anything while reading this, you need to subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. It truly makes a difference. Comment below your reactions and feelings about this ending. I want to hear from you. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. This is the moment to show your support.